Hey y'all, my name is Hannah Beth and this is my first YouTube video. I have decided to start off my YouTube journey with doing a Q&A. I put a text box on Instagram and asked you guys to ask me questions about my teaching journey and about teaching with the influencing side of things. And so I'm going to start off this video by answering questions about teaching in general. Alright, so the first question is, what grades have you taught in your teaching career? So I have taught first grade and second grade. My first year was second grade, and my second and third year were first grade, and then next year I will be doing first grade as well. I would highly recommend going to Dollar Tree for any kind of holiday stuff, party stuff. It will save you so much money. There's so many things that are at the Dollar Tree that are at Walmart or Target that are double the price, and it's the same thing. So for any holiday parties or any parties that you throw in your classroom, go to the Dollar Tree. As for classroom decor, I would really recommend getting a pack off of Teachers Pay Teachers. It just helps you have an overall theme, and it comes with an alphabet, number line, number charts, anything that you could need to put in your classroom. It comes in the decor pack. The only downside to that is that you have to pay for printing yourself, which is kind of expensive at Staples or a printing company, but it's well worth it. I did that with my Boho Rainbow pack and it's lasted me for 3 years. I'm just switching it out because I wanted something new, but it would have lasted me for probably 7-8 years if I needed it to. Along the lines of that though, I would also say your room does not have to look picture perfect. I know a lot of teacher influencers online, their rooms are absolutely spotless, and I even look at other people's rooms and I'm like, wow, I wish my room looked like that. But to be honest, there are so many spots in my classroom that I do not show on social media because one, they're not Pinterest worthy or it's just not organized. And I feel like a lot of us see the Instagram and the TikTok and we think we have to have the perfect classroom, but it's really not realistic, especially if you're teaching littles, because they wear and tear on things just naturally. So I would really suggest not comparing your classroom to the ones online because there are a lot of areas in those rooms that you just don't see. I would say yes and no. My mom was a teacher my entire life. She's now a principal, but she taught, I want to say, almost every single grade in the elementary world. My sister and I have just always grown up with her being a teacher, so I think that influenced me a lot. Whenever I was thinking about what I wanted to be when I grew up, there was really not much else I could see myself being. I knew that I loved working with kids and I love reading, and one of my main passions is making learning fun for kids. And so I don't think I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher, but once I decided, when I look back on things, it just all makes sense. Yes, people all the time, when I told them I was becoming a teacher or told them I am a teacher, they'll say really, you could have done so much more with your life. But my response to that is, what more do you want me to do? Per year, I am helping shape 15 to 25 little minds to be productive society members for us. I don't really know what more I could do. I think teachers are completely undervalued, and I think that's a common response to people. Really, that's all you're going to do with your life? Well, those people that are saying that, I would pay money to see them come run my classroom because it just wouldn't happen. People don't understand, and I really think that people will never understand what it's like or understand us at all unless they have taught themselves in the classroom. This is a job that I completely did not understand until I went through student teaching, and honestly until I completed my first year. People will never understand or sympathize with teachers unless they spend at least 3 months in the classroom with them. They just won't. Where to get the best quality classroom supplies for an affordable price, especially in bulk? So I have 2 main places where I get my supplies. One is Sam's Club. I know that there's a membership fee, but Sam's Club is totally worth it if you have it in your town because snacks and school supplies are so much cheaper there. I provide snacks for my classroom, and I provide a lot of stuff for our classroom, as most teachers do. And Sam's I mean, I know it in your mind, you're like, man, $30 for that, but you get so much quantity that it lasts forever. And then, of course, Amazon helps me a lot with things like laminating packets and scissors and pencils. That's where I order all of my stuff off of. What do you do on the first day of school? Ideas for activities. So about the week before the first week of my school, and my school starts early, so this is helpful to a lot of people online, but I do a breakdown of all of my activities. You can find them on my Instagram or TikTok. I'll give you a little bit of details, but I go into full detail about each activity that we do. The three that come to my mind right now are chrysanthemum activity, first day jitters, and there's one more. Oh, the kissing hand. Those are all 3 books. So you read the book with your class, and then there's a plethora of activities on TPT, but I'll tell you a couple that I do. So for Chrysanthemum, it is a book about a little girl who, her name is Chrysanthemum, and everyone in her class makes fun of her because her name is so long, and she's named after a flower. She has anxiety about it and doesn't want to go to school because people have been making fun of her, yada, yada, yada. So we do this activity where I have a big heart on the board and they all have small hearts. And any time that a character in the book is mean to Chrysanthemum, we either crumble the heart or we either rip the heart. And then by the time that the book is over, the heart is completely crumbled and ripped and it looks awful. So then at the end of the story, I tell them, like, you know, why did we rip? Why did we crumble? And they're like, because they were being mean to her. And then each time that they explain to me, we flatten it out, we try to smooth it out, and I tell them, okay, now go ahead and try to smooth your hearts out. So they'll try to smooth them out, and it's still wrinkly. I mean, it looks better than what it did, but it's still wrinkly. And we talk about how when you use words like that and you're not very kind, they hurt, and the hurt is sometimes permanent. You can apologize and say I'm sorry as much as you want, but the hurt is still there. So it's a good activity on being kind and teaching them that words matter. The second one is one to do on the first day of school. You read First Day Jitters, which is all about, it's so cute. It's all about how this little girl, it doesn't say little girl, but it's a girl. She's so nervous to go to her new school and da-da-da-da-da. And in the end, you find out that it's really the teacher. She's a new teacher and she's nervous to go to her new school. But it kind of phrases it like it's a little girl. But that one's cute because then after you can have Jitter Juice, which is, I did like green Kool-Aid. But you give them each some Jitter Juice. I throw some sprinkles in it. And when we drink it, I'm like, guys, this stuff, it takes all your jitters away. It takes all your nerves away. And then there's some fun activities on TPT. I think I always do the free ones. But there's some really cute little songs that go with it. Cute coloring activities and a sequencing activity. That's a really good one to do for the first day of school. And then the kissing hand, I don't have anything special for that. I just use that as a fun activity and like a good little wholesome book to read. Hands down, my favorite grade to teach is second grade. That was what I did my first year, and they are just at a perfect age for me in second grade because they are independent a little bit to where they can do things on their own, like silent reading, but they also have that love for you still, most of them. First grade, I love first grade, but the phonics component, which is my favorite component, ironically, is so tough, and first grade is just so much pressure on the teacher to get those kids to read, which I have learned a lot from that, and that is the most rewarding grade, in my opinion, but it's a lot. A grade that I would never teach any middle school or any high school. That's not my personality. So I would say this is one of my most asked questions. I have so many tips and tricks. My first one is that like the first year, you're not going to know anything and like soak that up. If you miss something or like forget to do something, it's fine. It's your first year, you don't know. And also if you do so well at something, like I remember all my observations went so well, they're like, how are you doing this? Like you're a first year teacher. I'm like, I don't know. So soak up your first year because that was my favorite year to teach, because if I messed up with something, I could literally say I'm a first year teacher, but if I did really well at something, the whole staff is like, wow, like, and she's only a first year teacher. But advice, I would say just accept that you're not going to know everything. It's a big learning year. I learned more my first year of teaching than I did all 4 years of college. And 2, I would say, maybe this was 3, but don't blame behaviors of your students on yourself. And I did a TikTok about this, and I got some really hateful comments about it. And obviously there's exceptions to this, but as a whole, like, we're seeing a lot of behaviors to where, like, in a teacher's mind, especially a young teacher, you think, okay, this is my fault because they're in my class. What did I do to cause this behavior? What should I have done? And you go through this bad rabbit trail of, like, if they were in this person's class, they wouldn't do this, or they didn't do this in their teacher's class last year, or I did this and this is what's triggered them. And, you know, sometimes that's the case, but sometimes, in my opinion, most times, there is nothing you could have done or nothing differently that you could have done that would have caused a different reaction. So, for example, let's just say, like, a hypothetical scenario. One of your students rips their paper in half after you pass the assignment out, and you're like, we're going to do this together because we do everything together in first grade. We're going to do this together on the board like we always do. Here's the assignment. Let's do this together. And they take the paper and they rip it in half, and they just tell you, like, I'm not going to do this. There is nothing as a teacher that you did wrong. Like, you have to do assignments in first grade. You did nothing wrong by handing them the paper like you probably do most days, or the little activity that you have planned. There's literally, like, it doesn't matter if Mrs. whoever or Mr. whoever was in that class, there's nothing you could have done differently to get a different reaction out of the child. And most of the time, their reactions have nothing to do with you. It may be something that happened at home. It may be, like, the way you smelled, or, like, you wore a shirt that, you know, triggered their familiarity of something. There's just so many times the past 3 years that I've just been like, man, I'm just so awful. Like, I want to be the magic teacher, and I want to be the teacher that, you know, put any kid in my room, I can bond with them, and I can solve their problems, and I can help them. But more and more in education, we're seeing that not be the case. Like, there's just so many outside factors, and my goal and my advice to first year teachers is don't take it personal. Like, sometimes there's just, like, nothing you could have done differently to have not caused that. I don't know if that makes sense. That was a big ramble, but summing it up, I'm trying to say, don't blame students' behaviors on yourself. Sometimes, like, I got so much hate saying, you know, I don't need to be in this profession because da-da-da-da. Sometimes that is the case. Like, sometimes teachers say things that are not nice to students that trigger them. But 90% of the time, in my experience, I have done nothing, and other teachers have done nothing to deserve a ripped paper, disrespect, a thrown chair, being screamed profanity at. Those things, like, most of the time, you don't do anything to deserve that. It's just outside circumstances that cause that. Obviously, my favorite part, and I would say most people's favorite parts, are just the relationships you create with your students. I think back to the 3 classes that I've had, and I love every single one of those kids that I've had like my own. Obviously, I don't have any children, but I love them all so much. I care about their well-being. I care about their future. It's been hard because I've moved every year from schools, so I haven't got to, like, maintain my relationship with my students. But I get to stay at the school that I'm at, so I'll get to see my past students in the hallway and catch up with them. But just the relationships you make with them, like, it really is such a special bond. And I've got to really be and meet so many super cool kids, and I'm like, they are going to make a difference in this world. They're going to be productive members of society, and they're going to make a difference. 1, a pencil sharpener. 2, a personal laminator with laminator pouches. 3, trying to think of like essentials that you absolutely need. I would say I am obsessed with my little zipper pouches. They last me for about 2 years, and I use them for our guided reading baggies. You would probably wouldn't need it if you were any other grade, but first grade is so important about reading and reading at home. So I would say those are my top 3. I have a ton of stuff linked in my Amazon storefront that are things that like I consider must-haves, but those are my top 3. I'd also say invest in some stim bins. I have 7 or 8 just little things that they can play with, like for indoor recess, and if you want to do like a quiet start morning, that's really helpful. But yeah, those are my must-haves, and I'll link my Amazon storefront down below so that you guys can check that out if you want to. So my first year, I would have said yes. I had a really, really close team teacher with me. She taught 2nd grade as well, and she was my best friend. Probably 70 years old, and I still go and see her. She lives about an hour and a half from me now, and she's literally my bestie. Like, I love her. She's the best. My mentor teacher also worked at my school too, so I loved getting to see her. We didn't necessarily hang out outside of work because we were literally always at work. Like, I was staying at work until like 6 or 7 every night, and she stayed too. We did the after school program together, so I was around her a lot. My 2nd year, I worked with my mom, so I really didn't hang out with anyone else but my mom, but the teachers there were amazing. And then this year, my team teacher and my principal, and I mean the whole building, we all love each other so much. They're amazing women that I all look up to, but my team teacher and I are, she's my like soulmate. I love her so much. She's the best. But her and her family, they invite me to a lot of stuff, and I get to be with their family a lot. And then my principal, we've watched Love is Blind together, like with coworkers. My principal had us all over to watch it. I'm sure we're going to watch The Bachelor together. Like, I have a really, really good group of coworkers this year. So yes, to answer your question. I did not do this until this year. So my first 2 years, I was at school all the time, staying, doing random things after school. And this year, I was like, you know what? If you're going to continue to do this, you're not going to last. So I would set an alarm for 3:30 is when I was allowed to leave. And anytime that alarm would go off, anytime that alarm went off, I was out of there. I just think it's so important to do that. I really do think the first year and 2nd year that you teach, it's almost impossible to do that, even maybe the 3rd year. If you want to get everything done, you can't leave at contract hours. That's just the case. But I heard someone else talking about this. Like, if we keep working for free outside of our contract hours, they're not going to change anything. Like, if it's not broken, they're not going to fix it. So at some point, we all have to start saying, okay, we cannot work outside of contract hours. Now, I will say when I do classroom transformations like Disney Week or Glow Week, I do have to stay after contract hours, but I enjoy that. Like, that's something that I'm like, this is worth it for me to put the extra time in and stay after school and do. But I would say set that alarm and get out of there at 3:30. I would also say too, like, I don't have everything figured out. I have moved schools or moved grades every single year that I've taught, except this will be my first year. So this will be my first year that I get to stay in the grade, stay in the same classroom, and stay at the school that I'm at. So I think this year will be a lot smoother for me as for leaving at contract hours and just the flow of my classroom, because I'm not changing curriculum. I mean, our school's not changing curriculum. I'm not changing grades. Like, everything's the same. So that will be really helpful. And my mom, who is also an educator, has always told me that it takes about 3 years of you being in the same grade in the same building to get like a good flow of things. So like 3 years of you staying in your same classroom, keeping the same curriculum, and staying at the same school is when you really get like, okay, I'm getting good at this. Like, I know what I'm doing. I don't have to stay after school. I'm in a good flow. Yes. I'm not bashing my college. My college was a great, great education program. I loved my professors. I loved my classmates. Like, we learned so much. And my school got us in the field as much as possible. We had a certain amount of hours that we had to observe in the classroom, and then we had a student teach. And then our exam for like, kind of like the teaching boards was the PPAT, and it was hard, and it really, really made you think about like what you're teaching, why you're teaching it, and how you were teaching, and if it was effective. It made you reflect on your teaching. I mean, it was good stuff. It was hard, but it was good stuff. But nothing can prepare you for it, especially now. Like, nothing can prepare you. Calling me a name they should not be calling me. Nobody prepares you for that. Or a student throwing a chair. Like, I was not prepared for that. You just learn by experience. And I think that a lot of our professors in college knew that. They knew that, like, there's not really much they can do to prepare us for what's to come. But another thing is, a lot of the people that are professors in education are in that job position because they wanted to get out of the classroom. I mean, if I were like looking to get out of the classroom, that's one of the first places I would look, is at a college who needed professors to teach classes on how to be an educator. Not saying that they can't teach us that, but they obviously wanted out of the classroom for a reason. I'm not saying all of them wanted out of the classroom, but I would say for the most part, that opportunity opened up for them, and they were like, yeah, I need to get out of here, The first week of school in first grade is no material. It's all about social emotional. It's all about routines and rules. It's all about routine, like boom, boom, boom. All we do is read social emotional stories, do fun activities, and learn the rules of the classroom. Once we learn the rules of the classroom, we're literally practicing them over and over and over. So let's just say we're practicing how to turn papers in. Okay, I'll explain it to them. We'll talk about it. We'll have examples. We'll have examples on what to do, on what not to do. I will show them, then somebody in the class will have them come volunteer and show them, then I will show them how to not do it. Then somebody else will come up and show them how to not do it. And then we'll practice as a whole, and if we get it wrong, we'll practice and practice and practice until we can't practice anymore. I think that a lot of people don't understand just like basic things in the first weeks of school of last year. So my first year of teaching first grade, I'm like, okay, let's get our notebooks out. And someone's like, what's a notebook? I'm like, okay, this is what a notebook looks like. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, okay, can you open the notebook for me? Can you guys open to the first page? And they have it like upside down, backwards, going across instead of up and down. Like, you have to teach them every little thing. And I can't even imagine what preschool or kindergarten is like. I take my time with routines and like fun games and get to know you activities. I take my time with all of that because that time is so precious. And if you don't lay the foundation there, then like, yeah, you have no hope. On routines and things that mid-year I'm like, I don't like the way we did that. But since I laid that foundation the first or second week of school, like, you can't go back from that. I mean, you could, but it's just so etched in their brains, and like, we laid the foundation thick that it would be almost counterproductive for me to be like, no, we're not going to do that. So I don't know a number amount. I know it's a lot, and if I knew the number amount, I would probably throw up. My first year, I just bought a classroom decor pack and had everything printed. I really didn't do much of decor. I was also super broke my first year because my husband was still in college and I was working, and I wasn't really in a place where I could buy a lot for my kiddos. The next year is when social media started kicking in, which I've gotten a lot of free things for my classroom, so I wouldn't count that in me spending money because I got it for free. But since I make more money with social media, it's been helpful. And I mean, I owe it all to my teaching because that's what my social media has come from. So I feel like when I use that money to buy snacks, or I use that money to do Disney Week or Starbucks Day, I feel like I'm putting that money to good use. I definitely spend a lot of money on my classroom that I probably shouldn't, but I don't know. I just want to do the most for my kids every year, and I want to make all those memories. I know you don't have to spend money to do that, but I enjoy doing things like that, so I don't mind it. Now, when we start having kids, Eli and I, that'll be a different story. I don't have any kids right now, and really it's just me and my husband. So it's really easy for me to do that. But when I start having kids, I would 100% set that boundary, as other teachers that I know have, as they should. Your school year start, you ended so early. So the school that I'm at now, we ended May 5th, which our schedule next year is the same. We in Oklahoma have to do 160 days, and I think most days are 180, so I think maybe that's where that big gap is coming from. But we start really early in August, where I know some schools that are ending in June, they start in September. But we are doing exactly the amount of days that we're supposed to do, and a lot of people have like sent me some not so nice messages like, oh, you know, you get out so early. And I'm like, I just follow the rules. Like, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. And if we get out May 5th, like, I am not asking another question. I am saying, okay, we get out May 5th. I have had to move my classrooms every single summer. I've taught for 3 years, moved classroom for 3 years. Just because of our circumstances with my husband's job and his schooling and stuff. I would have loved to stay at all 3 of my schools. I have loved every school I've taught at, but that's just not been the case. Like, I haven't been able to stay. So I have been in my classroom almost every single day, every summer, because I have been moving it and setting it up. This year is my first summer off where I am not moving, and I'm going to be in there a lot because I'm changing themes. But it's because I want to, and I enjoy that side of it. And I am setting limits. Like, I'm going to finish it all in June, and I'm not going to go up to the school in July. So I'll be on and off there in the month of June, and hopefully it'll be done to where I don't have to go up to it in July. All right, I am shifting gears, and now we're going to talk about influencing in the teacher world. So I got a lot more questions about this, and I'm going to answer as many as I can. I don't make money from Instagram. I've never been paid by Instagram. I know a lot of people got like the Reels payment where they got like paid $100 or so per month. I've never made money on Instagram. I did join the TikTok Creator Fund, but it literally tanked my views, and I got paid, like, one of my videos went huge and I got paid like 32 cents or something. So I immediately got out of that. The ways that I get paid for social media are my Amazon storefront, Like to Know It, and brand deals. Legally, like, to cover myself, I only shoot content after school, like after contract hours or during my lunch. I do not do during my planning period because I just want to be able to, with a free conscience, if anything ever happened at my school, I want to be able to say I have never recorded on contract hours. And I want to be able to be honest. If anything ever comes up, I want to be able to say that, knowing that I'm telling the truth. So I only shoot content after contract hours, before contract hours, or during my lunch break. I'm telling y'all, like, I am the only income in my household right now. My husband's in medical school, so it's just me. Teaching would not be, like, it would be enough for us to live, but we would be living paycheck to paycheck. I'll be very candid with you and say my husband and I added up my social media income, and I made $8,000 this month in social media. Now, that is several different things added together. It's not just one thing. But that's brand deals, my Amazon storefront, and Like to Know It. And it just changed my life because we would not be able to live comfortably without any stress about finances. Like, we thought, you know, we got married really young, and then he decided to go to medical school. He got into medical school, and our whole marriage, we thought, like, we're just going to be paycheck to paycheck until he gets done in medical school. And social media has truly changed our lives to where we don't have to stress about money and living paycheck to paycheck. It's been such a blessing, and I would highly recommend any teachers to just go for it, because if I can do it, then you could do it. So when I first started, when I hit about 10,000 followers on TikTok, I started charging $100 per video. A lot of the times I would just do free product in exchange for a post, And I do not recommend that ever, even if you don't have that big of a following, unless you like truly love the product. I still I will still do that if I like love the brand and I really want the product, but I rarely ever do it. So I started at 100 on TikTok, which no one was really interested in my Instagram until it started growing, I don't know, 6 months later. But when I was at 10K on TikTok, I would charge $100 per video. And just as I've grown, I've increased the video. I know right now that I'm charging like less than what's recommended. But right now my rates differ between anywhere from $700 to $1,000 per video, per reel, per static picture. I have, I think, 90 something on TikTok and 60 something on Instagram. So just as those rates go up, I will up my prices. I link everything in my Amazon and my Like to Know It, but my favorite places are number 1, Amazon, number 2, Ruthie Grace. I love Shop the Rage. I love these 3 boutiques. Consistently post. Like, if I am posting 1 picture a day, 1 reel per day, and 2 TikToks per day, my numbers on followers are going up consistently. But if I am not posting that much, then my follower, it's not going up that much. So be consistent to gain followers. Make content about it. Make TikToks, make Instagrams, make reels. Put links in your stories on Instagram. Just post more about it. And don't say like, this is my Amazon storefront, you should shop it. Get a couple products that are staple products for you, either in your home or in your classroom, and post about them. Post about how you use them. Post when they're on sale. I mean, the more that you post on your page, the more people are going to go, ooh, I want that exact one. So like, I'm not going to go look it up. I want to go click on her storefront and shop it. But I mean, I even think about, kind of to rephrase and like help you out, I even think like there are people that I follow that I'm like, anything they do, I want to buy it or I want to like emulate it. So think about what makes you want to shop someone else's page and then try to translate that into your page. A lot of brands will either email you or Instagram you through DMs. If I'm ever slow and I don't have that many brands that I'm working with, I will reach out to them through their email or DMs. But I just send, if they email me and are interested in me promoting their products, I will send them my media kit and then we will negotiate. But I think that the way that brands are attracted to you is if you have a really high engagement rate on your page. I don't think they necessarily look at followers. I think they look at your followers in ratio to your engagement rates. How to even get started with becoming a teacher influencer. So getting started, I really don't have much advice because how I got started was a random teacher outfit video went crazy viral on TikTok, and I went from like 200 followers to 10K overnight. And then I just started growing from there. So I really don't have any tips on like how to get started because my only tip is go viral. But there's really like nowadays on TikTok, I feel like it's so much harder to go viral. It's so hit or miss and it's so unpredictable. So I would say just get started and be consistent. Now that I have started, the only thing that causes growth is being consistent, which I know can be annoying sometimes, but that's the way to grow and that's the way to grow your social media, is just being consistent with good, solid content. With staying consistent, my tip is to get yourself a planner and write out what you're going to do. That's what I did when I first started. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I would find sounds that I thought I could easily maneuver into the classroom as like jokes or ideas that I wanted to share, and I would write down. So I would write down like Monday, the TikTok that I'm going to film is this, and the Instagram picture I'm going to take is this. That way, when I was at school, I was like, okay, I need to do these 2 things. I found that if I didn't go in there with a plan, I would just be like, I am so exhausted from the day. I'm not going to film anything. Who cares? But if I went in with a plan, like saying like you have to post this and you need to post this, then I was like, okay, I need to follow through and do it. Especially when I started getting brand deals, I had to make a planner so that I could keep up with it and meet the timeline that I needed to meet. At the beginning, it was really just for fun for me, but now that it is making double, sometimes triple the amount that I'm making as a teacher, I find the time to do it because it's that life-changing for me. Right now, I am filming 2 TikToks a day, not during the summer, but during like the school time, I was filming 2 TikToks a day and taking 1 picture a day, whether that was of me in an outfit or of my classroom. But I was posting 2 TikToks a day, 1 reel and 1 Instagram picture. On the reel, I would just repurpose a TikTok, just take the TikTok logo off and put it as a reel. So I really have never truly made a reel for Instagram because I just repurpose all my TikToks. But I don't know, I usually did like a easy little trendy sound one and then maybe like a little tip for the classroom or 2 goofy ones. But finding time and staying committed to it, it's that worth it to me. So it really is not much of me like persuading myself to do it. When I first started out, it was just fun. And I feel like when you start getting into social media, you're like, actually, this is fun. The community is fun. The humor of it is fun. And then after it stops being fun, you're like, okay, I'm making money, so I'm gonna keep doing this. I am changing my theme completely and I'm gonna shoot a ton of content with this. I love classroom decorating. It's one of my favorite parts of being a teacher. And so now that I have a social media presence, I'm like, well, why not change my classroom theme? I'm not really doing much this summer besides a couple vacations. I'm changing my theme completely and I'll keep y'all updated on that and I'll post everything that I'm doing. Alright guys, that is all I have for today. There's a couple questions that I didn't get to answer, but I don't want this video to be too long. This was my first YouTube video. What you can expect from me in the future is videos of me redecorating my classroom. I'm also going on a cruise and a girls trip to a beach somewhere this summer. So I'll be filming all of that. And then when the school year starts, I will do a ton of classroom things in my classroom with my classroom transformations and tips and tricks and all the good stuff about teaching. But this summer it's going to be a lot of vacations and a lot of classroom setup. So I hope y'all enjoyed this.